Last Sunday morning, I began a series of messages on my journey in life. And I want you to also make your journey in life very personal. I want you to think right now of where you've been as a person, the good times, the bad times, and to where you are now. I believe that God has us all here in this church for a purpose. And He has us here on purpose. So as we gather together and as we worship with one another and as we are challenged by God from God's Word, the Bible, we should take those words that are spoken to such a personal degree that our walk with God transforms the very person that we are. From the crown of our head to the sole of our feet, we should want God to transform us. We should want that transformation to be from the inside out. We should want, as we take this journey in life, people look at us as the most happy people on planet Earth, because to be a Christian simply means to be Christ-like or like Christ. And I believe that Jesus was happy. There's a verse in the Bible that perplexes me, but yet I think I understand it. For the joy that was set before Him, Jesus, He went to the cross. How could there be joy in sacrifice? How could there be joy in crucifixion? How could there be joy in the death that He was about to die? But yet He looked at what was ahead of Him as joy. You talk about positive thinker. Talk about a motivational speaker. Man, I'd love to have heard his reason on why it was joyful for him to go to the cross, because I've had my share of pains and heartaches just like you. And I must confess, I did not experience the joy that was found in that pain. I did not find the joy that was in that valley. I did not find the joy that was in the middle anguish. I did not find the joy in that situation that caused me to go into a state of depression. I did not enjoy, nor did I consider it joy when I'd lost my appetite because of my situation and my circumstance that I found myself in. So often we look at people, especially in church, and we take them at face value, and we do not understand that behind every face there is a story to tell. There is a story to tell about our life. And often when we sit and we talk with one another, we find out more about those people than we knew before. For example, I was talking to Gary and Joanne Scott the other day as I was visiting Joanne. Sherry and I stopped by to say hi. And Gary and I have a friend in common, and this man is now passed. And he was a veteran of our armed services. And Gary and I started talking about this man. We knew some of the basic things about this man, but Gary didn't know he was a POW. It's like, really? I said, yeah, he was a POW. We never talked much about it. That was something about this man's life that when I found out, I was shocked. It's like, here's a man that was beaten and tortured and every day suffered mental anguish. This man never spoke about it. Except for, he said it was for the joy of serving my country. And I'd do it again. Wow. Jesus would do it all over again because He loves us. But we, as we take our journey through life and we have our misfortunes and we have those hurts and those heartaches and those disappointments, we go, whew, glad that's over. Glad Monday's over. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. or we look at the hurt that we see coming in the future. It's as though we can see it like storm clouds hovering about, and we know there's a storm coming, and we begin to build our immune system to that thing which we are dreading to experience. And we get through it, and then it's like, wow, glad that's over. Wouldn't want to go back through that again. Several years ago, because of sports injuries, I had to have both knees done at the same time with knee replacement. I was the first double knee replacement, reconstructive surgery that the doctor had done. And I didn't realize how much trouble it was going to be to literally learn how to walk again. And when it was all over, someone said, as I was starting to regain my health and mobility back in my knees and my joints, would you do it again? And I said, not on your life. See, we all have a different tolerance level to pain. For me, I wouldn't want to go through that again. When I see people who spend countless hours in the hospital, or days and months or even years, because they're going through some type of physical therapy, physical rehabilitation, it is beyond me what the human mind is able to deal with. And it amazes me how durable the body is, because God made us so strong and so powerful to withstand mental, spiritual, physical anguish, satanic attacks. But as we go through life, we all have a story to tell. And I'm sure you could tell yours. But you're here today. You're not here by accident. Matter of fact, you were not conceived by accident. Before you were ever conceived, God had you in His heart, in His mind, and just at the right moment in history, in time as we would know it, God made sure that you were conceived, brought into this world for a purpose and on purpose. And He has a journey for you. Your journey is not like mine. My journey is not yours. We all had different journeys. We can pick our spouse, and we can pick our mate, and we can pick our job, and we can pick where we want to eat, and we can pick where we want to live, but you cannot pick your journey. God already has it designed. So we might as well get on board with what God wants us to do with our life and simply do it. Why is it Christians spend far too much time, energy, and effort running from God, when the truth is it takes a lot less energy, a lot less effort to simply walk with Him? But yet, when we take our journey through life, many have said things like this to me. And of course, as I'm getting older, now, those were times and places in my life personally with friends and family members. But I remember people saying, 20 years ago I made a commitment to God, and I simply did not follow through with it. And boy, do I live to regret that. And I thought, how sad that is. People that have come to know Christ, again, my family members and my friends that got saved right before they died, have all said to me, and some of you have the same story to tell, why did I wait so long? Now I die with regret of not living my life for Jesus. We have time left to do something for Jesus. We have time left on this journey to make an impact in our church, an impact in the community, an impact in the world. You have time to do more for God than you ever thought you could do. You have time now to once again say, today or tomorrow I'm going to begin my day with Bible reading. And even if it's just one verse, that's better than what I did the day before because I didn't read it at all. Or today I'm simply going to pray on my way to work. I've never done that before. And you just start talking with God, and you begin to see your life change. You begin to see how this change is impacting your life and impacting the life of your family and maybe your children. And I promise you this, it'll impact the church. But your journey is yours to walk with God. If I were you, I wouldn't buck him. I wouldn't run from him. I wouldn't stray. You ever watch parents in the mall or in the grocery store with their children, and the child is holding on to mom or dad's hand, and then they want to be independent and run off by themselves, and the parents are running, no, come back here. They're going after them because they want that child safe. They want that child protected because they know there could be a predator lurking about that could take their child, kidnap them, do horrible things to them. John Walsh and his wife experienced that with their son Adam. John Walsh, who for years hosted America's Most Wanted, his son Adam was taken from him in a mall and, sad but true, returned to him in pieces. So don't you think God wants to protect us just like he wants to protect, his church and those who live not only here but in the regions beyond? Sure he does. He doesn't want us to get out of reach. He doesn't want us to let go of his hand. He wants to take us on this journey through life hand in hand, footstep, side by side, and at times he will say, simply get behind me and walk in my footsteps. But you have the right to choose if you want to walk side by side, if you want to walk in front of him, take the lead. He gave you freedom of choice, or you can walk behind him and walk in his footsteps, let him pave the way. That's your choice. But I have found walking side by side, hand in hand, works so much better. I have found that when I have taken the lead, I've made a mess of my life. I have found when I've strayed from hearing him talk to me along this journey, how my life was turned upside down as a result of failure to listen. And we don't get to spend too much time today with Grandma and Grandpa like they used to. My generation grew up not spending as much time with Grandma and Grandpa as the previous generation would spend time going to Grandma's house and sitting on the back porch swing and just listening to Grandma talk and Grandpa talk. We're too busy today with all of our technology to take time to do what we need to do that's really important. Our journey through life is no longer the Bible as our guide. It's what's happening on Facebook and what's happening with our cell phone and in regards to how many people are calling and sometimes annoying us. I love technology just like you do, but I went back to a dumb phone. I had no peace. Facebook was beeping in. Emails were beeping in. People were beeping in. And my kids were beeping in. And out of those that were the most annoying, it can be your kids. I say that because as we go through life and as we experience our journey, what is important to us? What are we taking along with us? Are we going to end up getting at the end of life's journey that we have so much baggage, so many balls and chains that we've accumulated along the way that we did not take time to experience the joy of our salvation and the joy of walking with God, the joy of listening to his voice, because we were so distracted with so many things that we thought important? And I would ask that you do yourself a big favor this morning. And that big favor is stop where you're at right now. And ask yourself, how's the journey so far? How's it working for you? Well, Ron, I'm just like everybody else. I'm going here, going there. Me and the wife, we pass each other in the night or along the highway, and one's going here, one's going there. And, we've just accepted the fact that this is life now, and this is how it is. And, kids are here. I understand all that. I get it. Doesn't necessarily make it the best way to live your life, though. Matter of fact, I would encourage you to put the brakes on, pause, stop, and think about where you're at, what you're doing. And remember that Jesus should not only be taken with you on this journey through your life, but he should be your life. I read a basketball jersey that said this several years ago from a group of Christian men who wanted to make sure that the fans knew what was really important to them. And here's what it said on that jersey: "Basketball is my game. Jesus is my life." We have to be careful as we go through this journey that we don't leave God behind. It's important that He lead the way and walk with us every step of the way. And we get to know Him for who He is. Far too often, Christians and churches and pastors, spiritual leaders have placed God in a box, and that's God to them, and therefore that should be God to everybody else. And let me tell you something, my God is bigger than any box you can ever put Him in. My journey has been wonderful. Not without hurts, not without heartaches, not without disappointments, not without discouragements, not without the valley of depression even invading my life. But I know this, my Savior walked me through all of it. That's why when I sing these songs that we sing now, they mean so much more to me. Redeemed, how I love to proclaim it. Oh, I could mouth the words. I could come to church. I knew exactly what to do as a Christian. Why I was raised in church. I knew how to sit. I knew how to conduct myself. I knew how to talk to people. I knew what was expected of me. I knew how to play the role. But you know what? It's more than playing the role. We're not actors on a stage. We are Christians on the march as soldiers for Jesus Christ. I don't want to fake it till I make it. I don't want to wear a mask. I want to be what I am in Jesus' name. Well, maybe today is the day you need to rise up and take ye your walk. The alarm's been sounding for a while, but you have decided, you know what, I think I'm just going to lay here an extra 5 minutes. I have said that so many times, my 5 minutes probably is 5 million hours right now. Just 5 more minutes. Why is the alarm clock going off? Why has morning come so early? And by the way, I am not a morning person, and I hate mornings, and they come way too early for me every morning. You may think it's crazy, but I'm looking forward to the time change. I'm a night owl. Hey, I'll be up all night doing things, prepping my heart. Boy, that's when I'm at my best going at it. Then the morning comes, and it's like, are you serious? God, could you take the sun down and bring it up just a little bit later? Last week when I talked about taking my journey and rising up early to get started on this journey in life, I asked you what I should bring, and some of you said this. You should bring shoes. Yeah, that sounds like something I would need. Pants, Bible, deodorant, toothbrush, brush for my hair. Don't need it this week. Decided to keep the brush at home. Mouthwash. I took that as an insult. Toothpaste, soap, razor, shampoo, a map, tickets if I'm going to take a bus, take a flight. Make sure make my reservations ahead of time. That was really good. Money, have to have money. Don't forget to either take your car or rent a car, however your vacation goes for you. Take your phone, glasses. Oh, don't forget to take God. Take some candy, peanuts, medication, vitamins. Oh, I've got to take my suitcase. We can go over and over again what we need to take on our vacation with us, what we need to take on our journey, but it's human to forget something. Right? I forget things when I pack my luggage for maybe an overnight trip or a week trip or maybe a 2-week vacation. Now, Larry and Lucinda just got back from Disney World, right? Now, I don't know this to be true, so I did not ask either one of them ahead of time, but let me ask you this question. Did you forget anything? Which one of the kids did you leave at Disney World? No, that's not... I'm just teasing, all right? Yes. Forgot something. No matter how well you packed, and no matter how much you went over again and again and again and again and again. Isn't it just like life? You think you have life by the tail and you're going through life. Things are going great. Then there's a disruption and you have to stop, pause, and think about how you're going to handle that situation. Most people are told that when they graduate from high school, get a job, go to college, get more education so you can have the job you want, build a bank account, get married, have children, buy those things you want, get retirement so when you turn a certain age, you're going to need money to live on, and the person that is advising you on how much money you need in your retirement is telling you this by projecting 20 years from now, this is what things are going to cost, and this is how much money you're going to need in your retirement. And so we begin to think on all of those things as we go through our journey in life. But too often, the most important is not packed in the suitcase. And then someone says, hey, would you go to church with me? It's like, hey, no way I'm going to church. Me and church, you see, we don't get along. Or you see, I had a bad experience in church once. I get all that. Trust me, I've been in church long enough to know about the bad experiences. Some of them could have been avoided if people would have been as spiritual as they thought they were. You ever notice how it's always the spiritual ones that, want to challenge the Great Commission? I'm talking about churches that are focused in on doing things biblically right. And they're not. And leadership has brought the church to its knees. How sad. You come to church, finally, and then you come to a Baptist church especially. Oh, you know how those Baptists are. You know, those Baptists. I remember sitting several years ago in a barber shop in Ravenna. This guy sitting next to me, he gets on Christians. Didn't have a clue who I was. He's going on and on and on about Christians and how bad they are and how he'd never stepped foot in a church. He said, especially that church right down the road. And I'm thinking, really? Well, that happened to be the church I was pastoring. I said, tell me about that church. He goes, oh, I met that pastor once. Oh, did you? What was he like? Oh, he said he was a jerk and he was arrogant and he was sarcastic and he's just going on and on and on. I said, well, to make sure that I know who you're talking about and that I get the right church, let's go over this one more time. And so we did, and he says, oh, do you know the pastor? I said, I am he. I am him. I said, we've never met, have we? No. He needed Jesus. Been turned off by church for whatever reason, but he needed Jesus. Rise up, take your journey. Let's look at this quickly. And he, Jacob, said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before thee. Genesis 33:12. Jacob and Esau, if you're a Bible student or if you've been raised in church, you know they were two brothers that didn't get along. And finally they meet up after years of estrangement, and they make up, and instead of going their separate ways, now they decide to go together. And man, I'll tell you what, it works a whole lot better when people are in agreement with one another to move forward on their journey through life. I'm glad that I had somebody that showed me who Jesus was so that I could get saved as a young child and take my journey with him. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a wonderful experience for me as a child to have missionaries come to our church and talk about Faith Promise Missions Giving and how you should be involved in it, and how I was challenged to give so much money a week to missions. And I would go out along the roads in our neighborhood and I would find pop bottles in the ditch, and I would take those pop bottles to the local store and cash those in for my missions offering and watch God provide. Every week, just enough pop bottles to cash those things in to give money to missionaries. I wouldn't trade that for anything. I'm glad that I've been able to go on this journey with friends and family. And you know what? This second part of my journey with this church, I'm glad that I'm going on this journey with you. Hey, the best is yet to come. Hey, you know what? We're not always going to be in this area right here. God's going to open the doors for us when He's ready. He's going to open up the windows of heaven for us and give us a meeting place, a house of worship, because we have proven ourselves worthy that we deserve the gold medal from God. I'm not saying that pompously. I'm saying that when you do the right thing, God rewards. And I will humbly accept whatever it is He will give me, because what I say to you is not out of a prideful heart. It's out of deep humility for God. Rise up, taking your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into thine hand Sihon, the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it and contend with him in battle. You say, what does all that mean? I'm glad you asked. Let's look here. The first part of that verse says, rise ye up, take your journey. Ken Prio says, life is a journey with almost limitless possibilities. When God challenges us to do something for Him, the possibilities that are in front of us are endless. There's no mountain too high, no valley too deep that we cannot conquer it. I do not know what your situation is this morning in regards to your personal life or your walk with God, but I do know this, that with God all things are possible. And with you taking the first step to walk side by side with God, it'll make all the difference in the world for you. Life is a journey with almost limitless possibilities. You'd be surprised what you can do as a person. You'd be surprised what this church can do as a local assembly. If we walk together in one accord, marching towards the purpose of reaching people with Jesus, the possibilities are endless. But you have to be willing to rise up and take your journey. Your journey is not my journey. The life that my parents lived as children was not the same life I lived as one of their children. The lives that my children have lived is not the same life that I lived as a child. I've taken them in a different direction. I've taken them and shown them the possibilities of life and what life has to offer them and what God has to offer them. And I've told them that if they have the right heart and they have the right mind and they have the right attitude, everything's possible. Listen, you start focusing on your surroundings. If you're in the valley of discouragement, you'll never get out of it. You have to focus beyond that. You have to focus not on the problem, but on the problem solver. His name is God. Sadly but true, and I'm sharing this with you, one of the things that I've told you from the very beginning when we started this church, I said I'm going to be very transparent with you because I do not anyone to ever have a misconceived idea of who I am. Sometimes we look at the pastor and we look at the man of God and we say, well, yeah, he lives the easy life. It's always been, an easy road for him to travel. Let me tell you something. When the enemy gets a hold of you and he strips everything you have, and within 24 hours you are homeless and you're without a place to live and you're without your wife and your children, it's not good. The pit, the valley kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper until I actually would wake up in the middle of the night in a dream believing that my life was going to end up from where it was with me eating out of a dumpster. I'm telling you that God was always there with me, though, through every step of the way. And it was important that on this life's journey that I took my eyes off the problem and put them on the problem solver. Don't ask why when you go through a trial. Don't ask why when you're going through a valley. Ask God, as you're walking hand in hand with Him, God, what is it I can learn from this experience? What life's lesson is it you're trying to teach me? I know it's painful, and I know it's not what you want to do. But remember, if God is in charge of your journey and you're walking with Him, He did not lead you into a place that you were not meant to be. He's taking you to the place that you want to be. Life is a journey with almost limitless possibilities. Are you ready to rise up and take your journey? And as you rise up and take this journey, are you ready to possess it? With men, it is impossible. But with God and with God, all things are possible. Listen to me. I love this part right here. Impossible can be changed to I am possible. With God, all things are possible. Now, you may want to choose to crawl on your belly as a caterpillar your entire life. You may choose to say, life that I'm living is fine. I don't want to change anything. I like my routine. I like life as it is. And I'm sure God is okay with me where I am. God is okay with you where you're at if that's by choice what you choose to do with your life. He's always going to be there to help you along. He's even going to pick you up as that little caterpillar and help you once in a while and move you to where you need to be. Hey, this time of year, caterpillars are everywhere. I like those little things as they crawl along the ground. But you know what I don't like to see? I don't like to see a caterpillar that's been stepped on. There's just something about it that bothers me. You know why it bothers me? Because it will never be what it was meant to be. Man, Ron, I've been stepped on. I've been abused. I've been hurt. Life has not always been good for me. The very people that I love have abused me and used me the most. And I've been stepped on, and you're right. I crawl around on the ground hoping things will get better on my life's journey. And Ron, I know that God doesn't want me where I'm at, but I do not have the strength. I do not have what it takes to rise up out of this. Ron, I truly want to be more than what I am. I want to be transformed into what God wants me to be. And on this journey, I want to possess those things that God has for me. Well, then you need to seriously get your eyes on God so you can become this. With men, it is impossible, but not with God. For with God, all things are possible. You want to fly? You want to spread your wings and be more than just a caterpillar? Then you have to take the first step towards doing that. As I was preparing for this message, I went to YouTube and I downloaded what happens from the caterpillar stage to the butterfly stage. It is unbelievable what takes place. And they had the video that was speeding up the process. And I thought, isn't that just like our Christian life? What you're meant to be, what God wants for you in life, may be totally different than where you're at right now. And the person that can change that is you. You can change it through Jesus. You can say, it's not impossible, but it is possible. I am possible, and I'm going to put my trust, my faith in Jesus Christ, and I am going to pack my suitcase, ready, equipped for my journey in life. Amen, what a journey it can be. But you have to remember to take Jesus with you. It's a journey of possibilities. Are you ready to possess it? Are you ready to go after it? Are you ready to pay the price for what's ahead of you? Do you think it ought to be easy for you, even though Jesus himself warned us and said, in this world, in this life, you're going to suffer tribulations. But you know what? The tribulations and the trials and the hurts of life are a whole lot better with Jesus and me walking together. Hey, I played enough sports to know that if I didn't listen to the coach, it was not good. We need to listen to the voice of the coach. He knows what he's doing. What else do we know? Third and lastly, contend with him in battle. It's not going to be easy, folks. Your life's journey is not going to be all sunshine and roses. And if it is, I guarantee you, it won't be long until you find out that thorns assist and come alongside and go along with the rose. And it's going to prick you. And it's going to hurt you. And it's going to sting a little. And the pain is going to be unbearable. That's when you have to go back and say, listen, Jesus said for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. For the joy that's set before me, I'm going to get through this thing. And besides that, boy, I have people at church that's going to surround me and help me get through this. Hey, we do not know what each day holds for us. Every champion was once a contender that refused to give up. I'm telling you right now, when the enemy comes my way, I want to be equipped. I want to be ready to fight. I want to know how to duck. I want to know how to move side to side. I want to know what I've got to do to beat him, because if not, he's going to beat me up. And I don't want to get beat up. I don't want to be caught off guard. I want to be able to fight the enemy head on. I know that right now, and you need to get this. Please listen. Right now, if you could close your eyes and you could awaken in the spiritual world, there's a thin veil between where we are and the hereafter. You would be surprised what you would see surrounding this building. Possibly creatures just like this. We are battling every day with spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians chapter 6 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities of darkness, against spiritual wickedness in high places, against the rulers of this world. Therefore, take upon you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the enemy or the wiles of the devil." Then he tells us to suit up. Then we're told to remember who we're fighting against. "For you fight not with flesh and blood, and against flesh and blood, but remember your enemy is those who live in darkness." Our fight's not with each other, folks. No matter how somebody may rub you the wrong way, no matter if I've said something that you may not like, or you've said something to me that I don't like or I don't appreciate, my fight is not with you. I don't wrestle with flesh and blood. Spiritual wickedness. The best way to overcome this enemy is by remembering this right here. The best way to get the enemy out of your life is to remember what this man Jesus did for you and for me. Calvary conquers it all. His blood covers us. Redeemed, how I love to proclaim it. Redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed. 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 Last thought. As we close, question to consider. Knowing that God uniquely created me and equipped me for my personal life's journey, in what areas of my life am I struggling? You know, the most common one I hear is this, and I know you struggle. Ron, I got this promotion at work, but it's going to take me away from the family and kids, and it's going to take me away from church a little bit. But making that extra income, we can make a difference. And I struggle with what to do. God, what would you do? He'll tell you. I guarantee he'll tell you. You just have to listen. First of all, he's going to tell you to remember that the first commandment is to always honor and love him with all your heart, soul, and everything you have. So, the question then comes into play. The question comes into play is this: can I honor God by being estranged from my family and my children and my church? Well, that answers most of it. I guarantee you God will give you more than you ever thought if you just trust him and take him on this journey. A lot of mistakes have been made as a result of people doing the wrong thing, thinking it was the right thing, and then justifying it later. You realize how many people over the years, I've heard it. It's God's will. 6 months later, how's that working out for you? That was God's will. Well, it's really, well, it wasn't God's will then. Because God's will is a will that, when given to the Father, gives a wonderful reward. Here's what we want. We don't want this, and we don't want this. What we want is this. This is what we want. We want what God created us to be. We want to be transformed from our struggles, from the caterpillar stage, from crawling on the ground to spreading our wings and flying and showing the world not our beauty, but the beauty of what our Creator created us to be. That's your choice. I've coached enough boys, especially in baseball, to tell them you're better than that. You just need to practice more at home, and I could tell they didn't practice because they were okay with who they were. Just a little bit extra work, a little more effort. Because you see, it was about more than just them. Baseball's a team sport. Church is a team sport. And we all have to pull our weight.